Hey everyone, it's Kep here. This is going to be a long video, so buckle up. I am going to cover all of the Incarnons. And you might be wondering, why am I covering all these Incarnons so late? The reason is because there is a lot of buzz and there is a lot of misinformation, and these builds aren't fully developed. They haven't been fully tested. There are different synergies and different things that are going to come out as the game progresses, and as fixes come out, especially like one that's very a very big one was the Sicarus Incarnon just doing millions of damage per shot, which, if you did not know, was a bug. Essentially, the Sicarus' damage was getting multiplied by its magazine size for the Incarnon form, so you'd basically get 90 times your damage. Which is why people are doing millions and millions of damage per shot. So that was a fun little time, but now it is all fixed and the weapons have been brought down and balanced up. So there's definitely some different things going around. Builds have changed and people have kind of grasped what a lot of the Incarnon trees mean and stuff like that. So it is definitely worthwhile to cover it because there is going to be a lot of clutter. If you're looking for a build for these Incarnons and you're searching it up on YouTube, you might just end up kind of running into like an older build, and it might be very misleading if you search up a Sicarus build and you find the one where it was bugged, and then you're like, "What the hell is this?" When you bring it into game, and it's kind of shooting pebbles at enemies. So, yeah. Before we start, I really want to put out a very special thank you to not underscore deer. This beautiful person gifted me a formal bundle as well as found me in game, and well, they didn't find me in the game; they added me, but they got me into a dojo and they give me 130 plat to get the Incarnons. Very ironically, not dear. If you are watching, literally the next day that you gave me that plat, I got a 75% off coupon, and I couldn't miss out on that. So I bought a ton of plat. So if you're watching, please, I have been trying to check if you're online, because I want to give you the plat back for the Incarnon and the formal bundle. It is no fair whatsoever if I get to have all this plat, and you gave me that. So I don't want to take plat from you. I want to give it back, and if I can, hopefully you'll let me, because I was pretty tentative on taking it in the first place. But you are awesome. It feels super cool to have channel supporters and stuff like that. I will let you guys know I am perfectly okay on Forma right now. I literally spent like 1,500 plat on Forma, just so I could get all these Incarnons and all these builds completely built up. So it has been a hectic week of farming and everything like that, and building and build crafting. But for the most part, things are good. So we're gonna jump right into it. This is the Sybaris Incarnon. I covered this in a video the second it came out. The second I got Sybaris Incarnon, I had about 15 minutes to play around with it, and I made a really crappy build. Let me tell you, it has gotten better, but unfortunately, I still believe the Sybaris Incarnon is actually one of the weakest, but it is still really good. It is not a bad weapon whatsoever, not at all. But it can be better, and if you give it a gun buff, if you give it a Warframe buff, it definitely holds up to its name. But in terms of Incarnons, with what we got with other options, the Sybaris feels just a tiny bit lackluster. But that's just my opinion. And hey, maybe I'm still building it wrong. I've kind of researched what the mainstream builds are and kind of trained, improved on them and deviated a little bit and stuff like that. So we'll see exactly what happens. But we're going to go right into the test over here. See, fire rate is super duper fast. You're going to see the second we get those stacks up, we're going to start doing a ton and a ton of damage, which is really good. The AoE damage we gain whilst our stacks are up are super duper nice. Ooh, actually, really quickly, I'm going to pull Arcane Avenger off of my Caliban, because that's going to inflate the damage just a tiny bit here. So let me do this without Arcane Avenger. I will also cover my new Caliban build, because it is very important to show you what I've done with him. But yeah, as I said, the thing you'll instantly kind of see is the second that you get those arcanes stacked up and your galvanized mod stacked up, you're going to be doing a lot of damage. Definitely very impressive. And compared to what that was with Arcane Adventure on, we're only missing like a couple of bursts worth of our Incarnon meter. The blast in corrosive is still super duper strong, super good against armor targets. If you're using this against literally any other faction, running gas is a really cool idea, or Viral, it just depends on if you're going to be armor stripping. If you are Caliban or whatever Warframe that can armor strip, then definitely use Viral if that's the case, or Gas as well, or even more AoE. Electric is also super fun as well. But for these high armor targets, like these corrupted heavy gunners, you're going to be running with corrosive. Now, right onto the Incarnon tree, what we have over here is Blazing Barrel, we have Marksman's Hand, and Survivor's Edge. These are all pretty self-explanatory. I'm not going to go super in-depth into the evolution trees just so I can save some time, but I will say that I initially had well-rehearsed on in the first video, and well-rehearsed is really good. The thing is that the blast damage from the Incarnon form counts as a body shot when it hits another enemy, and it completely wipes that stack that you had down, which really, really sucks. I don't understand why they would include this unless it was strictly intended to be used with the normal version, but you can get some very nice single target damage out of the normal version of the Sybaris if you are running the Incarnon tree. However, the AoE that you get from the blast damage is super, super valuable, and it does still deal really good single target damage in its Incarnon form. So, like, I really wish that well rehearsed worked, but it doesn't, so it's kind of cringe. Evolution 3, it's kind of a flex slot. You can kind of pick whatever, but realistically, looking at these both, it's kind of useless, so we'll just take the minus recoil. We also have everything over here, and this is... Elemental Dominance was buffed, which is good. It increases the base status chance by +8 instead of +5, which doubles in Incarnon form. Still, we're really not having a great time here, considering Survivor's Edge is however much, like, what, 6% less than that, and you might as well just take the extra crit chance. So yeah, we're gonna look at the build over here. I do have a Riven. This Riven is definitely not at all like super useful. If you want to replace this Riven, literally just put critical delay in. That'll cover your crit chance. This is basically just a glorified crit chance Riven. The fire rate and the reload speed is super appreciated because you're going to be going in and out of your Incarnon form. But aside from that, like, this Riven's absolutely not... You don't need it whatsoever. But yeah, we have Galvanized Chamber, Galvanized Aptitude, Critical Delay, Vital Sense, Prime Shred, and then we have our Corrosive with High Voltage, Malignant Force, and Rifle Elementalist. This is specifically to buff up the Blast, because Blast, essentially the Rifle Elementalist is nearly going to double what our Blast damage is, so it is very, very useful when it comes to that. Vigilante Supplies is here just to enhance some of those crits. If you are using a pet weapon or something like that that does have the Vigilante mods, this will be a higher DPS increase, but for my case, I have taken my pet off to give it a very true demonstration of what the damage is. But yeah, I'm going to show you what the non-Rivet build does. I felt that hiccup coming from a mile away. So this is without a Riven, so our fire rate's going to be a little bit slower. We're probably going to get some more puncture procs. As you can see, it's not like terribly bad, and our damage is more or less going to be the same, aside from the fact that our DPS is a little bit lower. But as you can see over here, we are killing these corrupted heavy gunners a-okay. It is still doing the damage that it needs to do in order to kill these enemies. I am going to prime them as well, and then I'm going to show you what it looks like when they're armor stripped and damage vulnerable and primed all together. So if you are running Void Cascade or something like that, and you are running a primer, and you wanted to maybe use your Sybaris as your kill weapon, this is what it would look like. Stacks up. You can see it is definitely going to be very, very strong when it's primed. However, it is, you know, more of an AoE weapon, so I would say if you are going to be priming them, it would just be like a widespread armor strip or something like that. Caliban is a great gun buffer, so we're going to armor strip these guys, and then we're going to make them vulnerable to damage, and they're going to fall over. This is 1.4 million blast procs, 1.3, 1.4, 942, so definitely super, super good when it comes to the AoE part, and when enemies are armor stripped and damage vulnerable for any means, they're going to be taking a ton more damage. That is true for literally any content in the game. Literally anything with armor, when you remove that armor, is just going to die instantly, so it's not rocket science. Your armor strip, things are going to die. Even with armor, things are also going to die because they nerfed armor so hard for enemies in the Jade Shadows update. Anyways, we have the Dera Incarnon, and oh man, let me tell you, I thought this one was going to be a doozy. And I think I saw a post from Sabuchi on Twitter, and Sabuchi was like, I thought this was bad. Like, I thought people were saying this was bad. No, the Dera Incarnon's really good. Like, really good. It's scarily good. my only issue with it is that it sort of feels like it bottoms out because it doesn't have multiplicative gun CO, which really sucks. None of these incarnons do, but you know, multiplicative gun CO is kind of it's kind of the key to killing things at level cap or really high levels. So I wouldn't bring the Dera Incarnon on a disruption mission unless you're running a Warframe like Mirage or something like that. But for general content and stuff like that, absolutely fine. It will shred normal content. But yeah, we're gonna get into it. I'm running a viral heat build. Let me tell you, I tested this over and over and over again, and I swear to God that the viral heat and corrosive heat did the exact same fucking thing. So you really don't need to stress yourself out about if you're running viral or corrosive. These guys have just, yeah, they're gonna die anyways. If you get lucky, you will occasionally one-shot headshot. I do note that my build is not quite as geared towards the Incarnon version. This build specifically is more suited towards running the normal version as well. Just hopping in and out of the Incarnon as need be instead of strictly the Incarnon build. And as you can see, this absolutely does just shred these heavy gunners in its normal form. I will prime some enemies up for you as well, so this guy's going to get all primed up. You're going to see they're going to die so fast, it's not even funny. Very easy millions of damage if you are priming enemies up. With the secondary fire, that's 3.5 million on a viral proc. 3.8. Yeah, 5.1. Super good, super high damage, but once again, it just feels like it's not going to scale past that unless you are specifically running around, you know, giving them damage vulnerability, stuff like that, or if you are armor stripping them like this on top of the damage vulnerability, then you're going to be doing some silly little numbers. Yeah, 14 million, 17 to... It's weird how it goes from 2 to 14. The damage numbers are weirdly inconsistent. But let's go on to the evolution trees over here. I'm running Paragon Essence. This is just free fire rate. There's no reason not to use this. Crimson Overture is nice if you're going for a pure normal version of the Dera, which I'm not. It's kind of a hybrid version. It's kind of right in the middle of the pack, so it doesn't do either one of them super well, but it still will perform really great. Just because it's comfy. I mean, I'm not going to be running the Dera Vandal, like the Dera Incarnon, like super religiously, so I don't need to spec like so hard into one or the other. But this is just a nice comfy weapon if you need to do your weeklies or something like that. So definitely Paragon Essence just for the DPS increase. This is kind of a flex slot over here. Evolved Autoloader is cringe. I don't know why anybody would use this. This is kind of reserved, it feels like, for primers. Like, I feel like this is something that you'd really want for a primer to have just reloading in your back pocket so you can whip it out. And while the Dera Incarnon does have access to a lot of status chance, it's not enough to be a primer. It only has IPS, it doesn't have any other elements, and it doesn't have access to encumber. So if we are going to use this as a primer, it's kind of suck. I am running extended volley. This takes our magazine from 60 to 90. Just as I said, it is kind of a hybrid build, and so having that is really nice. The 50% projectile speed, this is good if you're having a hard time hitting headshots, but realistically that's kind of a skill issue. 9 times out of 10, these enemies are just going to be like staring at you like blank face, like a deer in headlights, so you're going to be able to hit heads pretty easily. I don't think that you're going to need swift deliverance, so extended volley it is. And for the last one over here, we're running high ground. Cringe and Cringer. Also weird, very weird, the death trap trigger on the Dera Incarnon is not the same as the Vasto Incarnon, because death trap trigger on the Vasto Incarnon, when you swap to the Vasto, you get access to the crit chance and the crit multiplier. This is just on all the time, which is so bizarre. It's weird. And if you gave me what is it? If you gave me Crimson Overture and you gave me the magazine reload and then this one, but it had the conditional effect that it needed to be swapped over to, then I would be like, okay, now this is a kill weapon for like a holster amp and vigor swap setup, right? Like that makes sense in my mind, but it's not. It's just on all the time, which is so weird. But anyways, we don't need either of those because we have high ground. Now, I'm going to explain what this does, because it's weird as hell. And when I first read it, I was like, what the fuck does this mean? Increase base critical chance by 25% of current stage chance up to 35%. Basically, what this means is that our base critical chance is going to scale off of our modded status chance. So if our modded status chance is 100%, it is going to increase the base critical chance by 25% of that 100%. AKA, the base critical chance we get increases by 25%, meaning we are already better than the 14% that Death Trap Trigger gives us. The good thing about this is that it continues to scale even higher. So if we have a 150% status chance, then our critical chance is going to grow even higher with that. So it's very obvious what they want us to do is they want us to mod for a hybrid build. Basically, they want you to mod for a ton of status chance, and in turn, you just put one little crit chance mod, and your crit will scale really aggressively. A great way to show you this is if I take critical delay off, which I don't have any other crit chance builds or crit chance mods on this build, our crit chance is 43%. This is 43% from 8. So we are benefiting a ton of base critical chance, and that's why the crit chance is so freaking high. We can get up to 129% and 195 because our status chance is so high. So we are fully speccing into status chance. So this Riven over here is more status chance. It also counts as an element. If you do not have the Riven, absolutely you can get away with just putting Rhyme Rounds in here. This works just the same. You're just losing out on a tiny bit of damage and a little bit of fire rate. This Riven is not that great. It's just status chance. It's basically a glorified Rhyme Rounds, just a little bit buffed. You're really not going to be missing out on much. But yeah, so status chance, status chance, status chance, status chance, status chance. We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 mods giving us status chance, and yeah, you fully spec into that. I'm pretty sure you might be able to take 1 or 2 of these off as well and still not get too many diminishing returns when it comes to your stuff. Like I feel like maybe you could put cryo rounds in here and then get a little bit damage, a little bit better damage numbers. But we are losing out on a pretty decent amount of status chance here. But yeah, I mean, here we'll test it. We'll just do this. We'll test it with prime cryo rounds and rhyme rounds for a ribbonless setup. And if you didn't want to use hammer shot, then this is also an option to you. Maybe we'll get some bigger damage numbers and stuff like that. That fire rate really hurts though, I'm not gonna lie. Yeah, so we are more or less doing similar damage, albeit the fire rate we're gaining from that Riven is very important. It is kind of up to you. Literally the only thing that you want to worry about when you are modding the Dera Incarnon is just mod for status chance, and that's all you need. You need 1 crit chance mod, and then the rest is status chance, and you'll be just fine. I'm pretty sure its gun CO is just additive, so it's nothing super special, and galvanized chambers just self-explanatory. We want multi-shot. Primary deadhead is here because it is technically a precision weapon, so we're going to be benefiting from that headshot multiplier. Aside from that, you can use whatever the hell you want. Vigilante supplies is here as well for a tiny DPS increase. But yeah, so that's the Sybaris and the Dera Incarnon. Pretty good options in my opinion. I like the Dera Incarnon more than I do like the Sybaris. Even though the Sybaris is super close to my heart and everything like that, this one just feels a little bit nicer, especially its primary fire in its non-Incarnon mode. Feels very snappy. It feels really good to shoot that around. But we're going to get rid of that. We're going to move on to the secondaries. Let's go digging. So we have the Cestra over here. And I'm going to tell you right now, this build is maybe not perfect. It's kind of hard to tell. I'm pretty sure my Sicarus isn't finished, but I already have freaking 5 forma on this Cestra, so we don't need to go so crazy over it, but I will kill these enemies and spawn up a couple more. I'm just gonna make sure this can get refreshed. I'm sorry if I sound like I'm rambling. I'm trying to get through these as fast as possible because I have freaking 5 weapons to cover. But yeah, so Cestra Incarnon is very interesting. There is a funny little interaction that's going to increase its DPS like a ton, but I won't show it to you right now. I will show it to you after I show you the mods and stuff like that. I'll show you kind of what a difference it makes. But you can see over here that base crit chance and status chance on the normal version are kind of cringe. But as we swap into the secondary version, you can see that our crit chance is going to go way higher. And as we hold on to this trigger, our crit chance is going to increase. So it really benefits just being able to mow down crowds. I think a really good stat to mod for, if you did have a Riven for the Cestra Incarnon, is Punch Through. Because this will help you kind of go through those crowds. It'll help you keep up that crit chance that you gained from the Incarnon mode. So not bad by any means, definitely not bad at all, but we can make it better with the use of an arcane. As for the evolution trees we are using, we're just running steadfast grit. There's no reason to use fortress salvo. Fucking armor tanking sucks. Um, if you're a professional Wukong main, which I met somebody earlier today, which was baffling to me that they said Wukong's unkillable in EDA, and I'm like, okay, cool, yeah, just Cloudwalker. Anyways, I am a professional Wukong hater. I'm so sorry if Wukong is your main. I'm not sorry if Wukong is your main because I hate him. I'm sorry that Wukong is your main because Wukong is your main. I am such a professional Wukong hater. I will never like that Warframe. But anyways, now that I just threw that slander out there, we're gonna be using Steadfast Grit. This is just a passive DPS increase. There's really no other better option. Albeit, if you do have access to a lot of armor, use Fortress Salvo. That's 80% multi-shot, which is a lot. I'm not gonna lie to you. So very worth it to use that. But we are getting the same base damage out of both of these, so I see no reason to use this because we're going to be shield tanking 9 times out of 10. You have a couple of different options over here. In this vein, I'm running Slayer's Nerve. Just specifically because it makes those precision headshots a little bit easier on us, and we are going to be holding it down for a really long time. So having those that accuracy and that recoil stack up is going to be very beneficial to us. But if you do have a super high fire rate and you're going to be going in and out of your incarnon mode a lot, fuck, and you're going to be going in and out of your incarnon mode a lot, then absolutely run rapid reinforcement. Just for me, I felt that Slayer's Nerve was a little bit nicer. And then we have Wiseman's Guard, which it's kind of the same deal as the Dera Incarnon as well, but we have Death Trap Trigger, which once again, it doesn't give you any crit chance, it just gives you crit multiplier. It's so weird. It's weird. I don't understand. And then also Survivor's Edge that increases your crit chance, which is meh. But Wiseman's Regard, it is kind of the opposite of High Ground. Basically, it increases our base status chance by 30% of our critical chance up to 40% chance. And this is our modded critical chance. So our status chance will continue to increase as we gain things like crit buffs and stuff like that. So definitely super useful. It literally just works exactly like High Ground does on the Dera Incarnon, just the opposite. So it's our status chance that is scaling off of our modded critical chance instead of the other way around. But yeah, we're going to go into the build over here. Prime Target Cracker and Primed Pistol Gambit. This is pretty obvious. We want a lot of crit. Lethal Torrent is kind of a flex pick. You can kind of maybe swap this out for something different, though the extra fire rate is very appreciated, and multi-shot is just obviously good. We're running Viral Heat on this one. It's kind of unimaginative, but like it gets the job done and it works. Like maybe you can do some silly stuff with Blast, would probably be really interesting. But yeah, you don't particularly need to worry about that. It's the same thing with the Dera and Incarnon, where Corrosive Heat and Viral Heat work almost identically, although, you know, a lot of Warframes nowadays have access to armor stripping, so it's like I would just rather be prepared to do viral damage instead of corrosive damage. But yeah, Galvanized Diffusion, Galvanized Shot, standard DPS mods. These are basically going to belong on any build. Lethal Momentum, because we are kind of spraying and praying in some cases, this does benefit from it. We really don't need to worry about any ammo conversion or anything like that, specifically because this thing has a ton of ammo in it. It has a 60 magazine and then 420 ammo maximum, as well as its Incarnon just having a lot of ammo in general. But the Arcane. I'm running Arcane, what is your name? Cascadia Overcharge. You can run Cascadia Flare, and it is a good option. You can run Secondary Outburst, which is also a super good option if you have a melee that is going to build a combo really fast. Secondary Shiver, if you're doing cold damage, will give you multiplicative damage, which, if you didn't know, the damage that you gain from Secondary Shiver is multiplicative. So super duper useful on that. Is going to give you a ton of extra damage. But yeah, so I will show you why we're running Cascadia Overcharge. And it's because of Wise Man's Regard. Is when we have Overshield active, like that, now we have the 300% crit chance. Because this is oh my god, my pistol's gone. Because this is considered a modded crit chance that is being applied to the weapon, our status chance just fucking blows up. So you'll see immediately that we are going to be applying a lot of status effects. And in our Incarnon mode, the damage that we pump out is way higher now. We are getting like multiple status effects per shot and everything like that. So Cascadia Overcharge is a really, really good idea for the Cestra Incarnon because it benefits from that modded crit chance. So definitely super duper useful. 9 times out of 10, your frame is going to have overguard, not overguard, overshield in some way, shape, or form. So it is definitely very useful. I'm going to give them a damage vulnerability like this, and you're going to see over here they're going to die even faster. We're going to armor strip them, and I can probably kill these guys in one shot. Once again, as I said, things are definitely just going to die in general if they're armor stripped, especially when they're vulnerable to damage like that. Which, if you didn't know why damage vulnerability is so important, it is because it is an outside multiplier to all of our damage upgrades and stuff like that. So definitely super duper important. But yeah, Cestra and Incarnon, definitely impressive. It's not a bad weapon whatsoever, but it's not you know, I don't know, it's not rustling any feathers, I think, in terms of DPS output. And maybe there's some hidden cool tech that you can use with it, but as far as I know, the gun CO is not multiplicative, and even then it is kind of hard to find a primary primer, so we are just going to be, you know, using that as a self-primer. Anyways, we have the Sicarus and Incarnon. Let me tell you, this thing is still really, really good, and it kind of left behind the legacy from its non-broken state that it was, you know, just going to be this like world-ending weapon. And it is still really good, I'll tell you that. Like, it definitely does the damage to keep up, but it is not what it was. I do believe it is still capable of level cap content if you do mod it properly. But as you can see, like, when we have our stacks all built up here, like, we're doing a lot of damage. Like, definitely enough to clear out this crowd. And, I mean, if anything, I feel like if you really let this thing rip, it would clear out a crowd faster than the Sybaris and Incarnon, which is pretty nice. As for the options over here, we have Feigned Retreat, Void's Guidance, and Survivor's Edge. The other option over here is King's Gambit, and let me tell you, I'm going to swap to that, and then I'm going to swap back onto it so that the Incarnon applies. King's Gambit I have a love-hate relationship with because sometimes it is incredibly difficult to hit the headshot on an enemy, especially if they're constantly getting rattled around like that. So King's Gambit is really good if you have a way to make them sit still. But yes, King's Gambit will result in a higher DPS, and the ricocheted bullets off the Sicarus and Incarnon will target headshots. My main issue with it is that Warframe is a very fast-paced game, and you don't know if you're going to end up in front of an enemy or behind them, and if you're behind them like this, you're not going to be doing anything to them. Your DPS goes to 0, which is why I use the other Incarnon tree specifically for the Sicarus Incarnon, because this is just a decent little damage buff, but King's Gambit is really good, and if you are running around doing like disruptions or something like that, or you need like a lot of single target damage, King's Gambit will be the one for you. But for me, if this kind of just feels a lot better if I run Feigned Retreat, because I don't need to worry about exclusively getting headshots. It just makes it for a lot more comfy gameplay. Plus 40% accuracy, minus 40% recoil, that's pretty obvious where it is technically a precision weapon. I think rapid reinforcement is also super duper good because the Incarnon ammo does kind of run out like super fast. But yeah, we also have Wise Man's Regard. Very uniquely enough, I would say that this is not worth modding into for the Sicarus and Incarnon, even though these have a track record of being like super OP. We don't have like a ton of access to I don't know what I was going to say. I said we don't have a ton of access to crit chance mods aside from having Cascadia Overcharge, which I guess in this case I will show you what Cascadia Overcharge does, because it is worth knowing with Wise Man's Regard. So just like that, you'll see our recoil is insane. So this is what it looks like with plus 300 crit chance, and I'm going to be a buck with you. I'm not really seeing a difference. If anything, it's killing slower. So this just goes to show, like, having that Incarnon option is really not going to be, like, super beneficial to you, which is odd, but, you know, Survivor's Edge is going to be the one that we choose. We obviously do have Commodore's Fortune, which, I'll take the status chance over that any day. But yeah, Sicarus Incarnon, the build isn't even complete, and I'm going to be a buck with you. I don't think I want to complete it. It literally has 5 Forma in it. I don't know why I need 5 Forma for this, but I obviously could make this build cheaper, but it's like, I just don't feel passionately enough about it to make it a full build, but I at least did put in the work and the time to put all this form onto it, unlock all the arcane slots and everything like that. It's just meh. It's just meh. It's good. It's not bad. It's good. It's just not bad. It's the same diff with every other freaking weapon. So, yeah, in my opinion, it's not what it used to be. But finally, we have the Okina Incarnon, and let me tell you, this thing is a guilty pleasure. Oh, I know that the Okina is an IPS based weapon. It is particularly a slash based weapon, but this thing has access to so much status chance that it is just such a good melee influence weapon. And I know I shouldn't use melee influence. I know melee afflictions might be better, this, that, or the other. Oh, it's so good though. Let me show you. Like I can wipe this entire crowd out in like no time at all. It's not supposed to be a melee influence weapon. The Okina Incarnon does not care. These daggers, as well as they hit enemies, will also proc your melee influence. Yeah, Okina Incarnon is super, super cool. Like, if I give them any amount of damage vulnerability, like, whatsoever, they're just immediately going to keel over and die. Like, come on, come on, come on. You can't tell me that's not OP. Like, yeah, I get it. You know, it's melee influence. It's going to kill really quickly anyways, but like I feel like this is just particularly fast for a melee weapon to kill. Another really important thing to show you is if I take off, don't like to build, don't like to build, don't like to build. If I take off melee influence and I just start whacking an enemy, watch my combo count. My combo count's going to go crazy. Boom, already at 5. Boom, 7. Boom, 10. Boom, 12. The Okina Incarnon builds combo really, really, really fast, and that's because it has access to a perk that is similar on the Sybaris incarnon, which basically just makes it so that when there is a slash proc on a target, you're going to gain 5 additional combo. So long as you have any kind of slash damage on that target, each one of your hits is going to be worth 6. So that's why your Incarnon meter just immediately goes up to a fucking million. Because the second you just start wailing on an enemy, you're going to be at 12 times multiplier. Like, I feel like that's why Influence is so good, because it scales so quickly with your Blood Rush and your Weeping Wounds and everything like that. So definitely seeing red is super useful. Synergist, Jesus Christ, Synergist Surety, fuck. This one sounds really good, because status damage we know from the melee elementalists or any of the elementalists set, status damage is very good. But in this case, just having access to such easy combo count, you don't feel bad for losing your combo with this at all, because you can build it back up in a fraction of a second. It is really, really comfortable to be running Seeing Red. For our other evolution choice over here, I'm just running Orkin Reach. Standoff is cool. If you really wanted to, if you wanted to get more damage out of your melee, you could run Synergistic Surety as well as Standoff, and this would technically give you a little DPS up, but in this case, like, we really don't need that. So Orkin Reach is going to be a little bit better, especially because the Okina Incarnon has a really high follow-through. 80% is, like, weirdly high for a melee weapon, but all the small melee weapons have a high follow through, and all the big melee weapons have a smaller follow through. So essentially, a good way to think about it is that the higher the range of the melee weapon, the less follow through it's going to have access to. The lower range, the more follow through it's going to have access to. So daggers specifically have a really high follow through. If you don't understand what follow through does, essentially what this means is that the first enemy you hit with a single melee strike is going to do 100% damage. The enemy that you hit next in that same melee strike is going to do 80, and then the next one that you hit afterwards is going to do 80% of 80%, and it's just going to go smaller and smaller and smaller and smaller. So having a high follow through is very important, because you will be killing things at roughly the same time. You'll be able to clear out very dense crowds very quickly with a higher follow through. And then we just come over here. We're running Alchemy of War. We have Survivor's Edge and we have Commodore's Fortune, but these are like really mid-ass buffs. Neither of these are like good whatsoever. Alchemy of War is really nice because we get a tiny bit of status duration, but we get a really nice amount of status chance. So we already have access to 79% status chance with the build on top of what Weeping Wounds gives us. So we have a ton of status chance, which is why melee influence is super duper strong on the Okina Incarnon. As you can see over here, we're running some of the new galvanized mods for this build. But first of all, we're going to go over the Riven. Riven, super simple. If you don't have this Riven over here, what I would recommend to you is maybe swapping this build around a little bit. Actually, what could we replace? Because this is giving us a little bit of range. So we could put primed reach into this if we wanted to, but then this will turn this to magnetic, so we would have to get rid of another mod. Realistically, either you can put primed reach and you could get rid of galvanized elementalist, maybe, because this is a really good hybrid weapon. We don't want to give up galvanized steel. Or you could swap this out for just toxin or virulent scourge. Have an even higher status chance, and then you just lose out on a good bit of damage. As for this, like, you know how I am. I'm all or nothing, so we're gonna be fully investing. And realistically, at the end of the day, it's kind of marginally going to be better or worse with a Riven. I feel like Rivens are not that important unless it's like a Riven that's like minus impact, positive slash. That changes a weapon completely, right? Like if I had a minus impact, positive slash Riven for the Sybaris, that would change the weapon completely. It would turn into a completely different weapon. Whereas like this Riven is really not doing you a ton of favors, even though it might seem like it's going to give you a ton of damage. I still don't believe it's like entirely worth it. But I do have it, and I'm going to use it, and you know it's a good Riven. What can I say? I tried to sell it. Nobody's going to buy it. Everybody wants this Riven for like 100 plat. But it's like, this is a good Riven. Like this, it's not great. It's not like a god roll or anything like that. It's a good Riven, right? So don't get me wrong. Yeah, that's basically that. Prime Fury just for DPS increase, galvanized steel. We're using this less for the crit chance than we are more for the crit damage. Very funnily enough, this is 85%, and then normal organ shatter is 90%. Galvanized steel gives us 120%. So it's just a better crit damage mod, and it gives us a little bit of crit chance, which is pretty nice. This is going to give us viral with my Riven over here, so we definitely want viral electric because that is standard melee influence activities. If you wanted to, you could also swap out Voltaic Strike for a big shocking touch over here. This will give you a little bit more, what is it? A little bit more electric damage, and it is also going to make you proc more electric in general, which is good, but the attack speed and the status chance is just so freaking high. You're going to be proccing electric no matter what, especially because the daggers that are soaring around will also proc melee influence for you, so super duper good. Blood Rush, Weeping Wounds, easy. Galvanized Elementalist is also really nice because this will give us even more status chance on top of our Weeping Wounds and already super high 79% we have, so we're going to be rocking like, I don't know, like 400% status chance at the end of this. I don't know. Very, very good. Tennokai is super duper useful, especially for melee influence builds, because that damage translates into the melee influence super well. But yeah, those are all of the Incarnons. I don't think I have much else to say. Like it's already been 38 minutes of just pure rambling about them. I guess I'll do you the courtesy of bringing this into mod, just if you want it. Like I'm just gonna ramble. So realistically, the video is ending like right now, but I mean, if you really wanted to stay around and listen to me ramble, you can watch the mod gameplay. I don't really know. I'm not going to bring any of the other Incarnons into this specifically because I feel like the Okina Incarnon is just the best option out of all of these, and you know it's my favorite, so I'm very biased, and I'm going to be unapologetically biased when it comes to these Incarnon weapons. But yeah, definitely not a bad round. I think comparing this to like the Boar in the Gamcore and the Gorgon, like that, whatever round of Incarnons that was, like these are infinitely better. So definitely worth it when it comes to that. But you'll see really quickly the Okina Incarnon is just gonna absolutely wipe rooms. On top of that, they look fucking great. Okina Incarnon looks so nice. Already in our Incarnon form, Jesus. Oh, I didn't even put Arcane Avenger back onto my Caliban, so we could be doing more damage, which is really nice. But you can see, like, we're killing enemies in the room next to us. These daggers are going to be keeping us alive. Like, it's kind of insane. Pop out an Ortholis here. The cool thing about the Tau status effect from Caliban is that it's a multiplicative status chance increase, so it takes whatever our modded status chance is and basically doubles it. So we already have like a super high status chance. If enemies are all primed up with Caliban, we're going to be doubling that, which is super nice. Super nice. You can see these daggers are just flying around and they're just shredding enemies for us. It's awesome. We really don't need to worry about much at all. Super comfortable build with the Okina Incarnon. It also shreds acolytes as well. It has a really strong guaranteed slash proc on what is it? On its heavy attack. So all you need to do is just whack on the acolyte until you get 12 times combo, and then you'll have a Tennokai ready. That Tennokai will just do oodles of damage. So it's definitely super nice. Occasionally, if you can get the stars to align, you will just see like a million slash proc on a Tennokai, which is really funny. Yeah, it's hard because there's so many damage numbers in front of you, which is why I feel like the Okina Incarnon feels so good, is because that melee influence status chance is just so freaking high that you're just going to be seeing it constantly everywhere. That was weird animation cancel, Jesus. The dagger's just running around killing everything for us. It's super funny. Being able to freeze a target is really nice as well. Oh my god, War's here. War me, daddy. Oh. Yeah. It's shit's good. I don't know what else to say. It's really nice. I ran this on a level cap mission as well. Melee influence absolutely does hold up in a level cap. Some other melee influence, if it's not a glaive, they tend to be a little tiny bit lackluster when you get up to a level cap. But Okina and Incarnon is just buttfuck OP when it comes to dealing, you know, so much damage. So we don't need to worry about that at all. There are some weapons that also struggle keeping their melee influence up. Okina and Incarnon just has so much status chance that you don't need to worry about that at all. Hey, Vor. Bye, Vor. Let's see if we can get a Tennokai. There we go. $1.1 million slam damage. I love it. And we just used that heavy slam, and now we're already back at 6 times. So you can kind of see how amazing that perk is. We have any slash damage on them whatsoever, we're immediately just going to be increasing our combo by like a fucking million. Here we go, we have the Acolyte test. The Acolyte's going to spawn in the residual field from my Fusion Strike, so I think she should be armor stripped. Yeah. Bye. Cool. Yeah, have fun. There she goes. So yeah, absolutely just a super fun melee. I know it's like a slash melee and everything like that, and realistically you can get a ton of single target damage. The neutral block combo over here, this little kick, it does proc melee afflictions, so you can get a ton of, a ton of slash damage on a target. And I'm pretty sure there is a really nice disruptor killing build that you can make with it. But in this case, for mob clear and stuff like that, especially because it ramps up so quickly, this is an amazing mob clearer. Like super good for getting rid of rooms and stuff like that. I absolutely love this freaking thing. See some Caliban movement tech over there. I think I'm going to record my Caliban video after I'm done this one. Specifically because my Caliban build has changed a lot. And it is like oodles better in my opinion. There's also different tech and stuff like that I've realized with him that is super duper useful. So, namely the Razor Gyre cancel. because the energy steal on Razor Gyre only needs to like do the damage one time. It only needs to connect with an enemy once in order to steal the energy. You can get it and use it as like a super quick energy generator if you just use it and then immediately hop out of it. And so long as you hit more than 5 enemies, you're going to be energy positive when you use the ability. So it is absolutely super useful to be able to hit it like that, have a super high base energy, and you can keep your energy up really, really easily. The best part about that is when you are canceling it with the jump as well, is you're able to spam it on the same group of enemies, where before you basically, if you wanted to build up your energy, you'd have to do this, right? And that takes forever, right? So instead of doing that, we can, you know, kind of hop in and out, do this, and then keep our energy up super easily. Oops. Let's see over here. You can just watch my energy. It's immediately gonna max out. It's super easy. Oh my god, I'm stuck in the wall. Oh my god, I actually was stuck in the wall. Wait, can I now move? Oh my god. Oh. I can't walk forward. What? Oh. I can't walk forward. My W key doesn't work. What? Okay. What is this? Does it just, what the fuck is going on now? Oh man. Oh, you broke your little game. Okay. I'm constantly holding backwards. This is so insane. I didn't even know this bug existed. Look at me go. I'm gonna run to extraction backwards because I cannot press forward. This is really funny actually. But yeah, so that is all the Incarnons. Just, as I said, this is going to be a super long video. If you did watch to the end of the video, comment something like really weird and obscure. Like say something like really odd, like, oh my god, dude, I cannot believe that you slipped on that banana last night. And just confuse the fuck out of everyone. It would be the funniest thing ever. If you did, but yeah, if you did watch all the way back here, then you are very awesome, and I appreciate your time. But yeah, you guys have an awesome time, and I hope you are ready for the other Caliban video that I'm gonna make because I love him. Goodbye.